Hello, my name is Luis Valderas. I'm an artist, educator, and agent of change, and this is Una Plática.
Una plática.
Una Plática.
Es una plática.
Say plática.
Una plática. Una plática.
I grew up in a flower shop, ceramic shop. So when I was a kid, that's what worked out for me becoming involved in the arts. We had to make the ceramics and the pieces needed for Dia de los Muertos or Mother's Day and Father's Day for people in the neighborhood to take to the cemetery. That was how we made our livelihood. So that was my exposure to the arts. And from there, I learned how to collaborate, work with people, how to finish things, levels of quality, things that I needed to know as an artist. So that's how I started. My art teacher, I've been very lucky to have art teachers that were very inspiring and encouraging. And so those teachers also helped me along the way and encouraged me to become an artist and understand what it is I was trying to do as an artist. I consider myself a Chicano artist. I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, and the marches and the huelgas were all very prominent in the places that I was growing up. But I wasn't really taught any of that down in the valley. The history of revolutions and the history of activism wasn't pushed in the schools. I didn't understand what it meant to be a Chicano artist until I arrived in San Antonio, and I understood that there was issues that affected our gente and our raza, and these issues needed to be brought to attention so that we could do something about it to change. And so that's how I discovered that I was a Chicano artist. I grew up in the 70s. That was I was born in 66, so my culture in the Rio Grande Valley was very insular. The Rio Grande Valley is called the Magic Valley for a reason, because it's surrounded by invisible mountains that keep it away from the different areas of that have more prominent people living there. And so that kept me in a very kind of inclusive place that just was kind of sheltered. It wasn't until I started traveling out of the valley that I learned about the different races, if you will. My confrontation with my introduction to people from other places that look different from me really became evident when I started leaving the valley and going to school, for example, in Dallas and in Austin. So that was a very big revelation for me. So as far as culture is concerned, what I'm familiar with is cultural practices that we kept in the barrio. And that was all related to me growing up in the flower shop. And then the culture of just understanding hard work and understanding commitment, understanding compassion and empathy. That was all part of what I learned growing up in the Rio Grande Valley. So I would say that my parents were my biggest mentors, and they were the foundational influence in my entire outlook on life and how I problem solve. I learned production practices and business practices with them in the ceramic flower shop. And then there was my teachers, Linda Esham, middle school teacher, and then in art, and then my high school art teacher, Carmen Peña. They were all part of the same equation that helped me become an artist, as well as my college professor, Richard Heisland. I worked with him on the largest sculpture of the Virgin of Guadalupe in North America. And that was all part of being part of a team and collaborating. So my skills at collaborating really helped. My other really important mentor is Will Martin. He was my printmaking professor in college, and through him I learned about printmaking. And then Jose Esquivel, I was lucky enough to have Jose Esquivel as my mentor for quite a number of years. As soon as I arrived, I met Jose Esquivel and we began talking and discussing, and I began learning from him. So I have an ongoing practice of art, and that's how I learned from him about art history and the history of San Antonio art. Another one of my mentors was Sam Coronado. He ran the Serrier project in Austin. I was lucky enough to meet him and be included in the Serrier project and then taken under his wing. So all in all, my mentors have been extremely important to me in getting me to where I'm at. For that same reason, I mentor. I teach everything that I've learned from my mentors to others. I think that organizations like Centro Cultural Aslan are the backbone of our community and our cultura. It's important to have them and to support them. I was lucky enough to stumble upon Centro Cultural Aslan when I first arrived in San Antonio 25 years ago. And I've been working with Centro Cultural Aslan at various capacities throughout that time as an exhibiting artist, proposing exhibits, and then even working together in development of community projects that enhance and talk about the Chicano experience in our community, like the Chicano art for like the Chicano curriculum that we just recently developed through the Department of Education that is now defunct. The Segundo de Febrero exhibits that Centro Cultural has and hosts on a yearly basis, like the Dia de los Muertos exhibit and festival that Centro Cultural Aztlán founded back in the day when it was originated. So those are really important programs that spotlight the culture and the heartbeat of our community here in San Antonio. My favorite program is the Dia de los Muertos, but my second one is the Segundo de Febrero. The Segundo de Febrero has a more activist position because it deals with and confronts the issues of the Treaty of Guadalupe and all the unfairness that occurred during that time. And we still see results of that now, even with what's happening with our legislature and how they're having to leave the state in order to make sure that they stand up for our democracy. San Antonio is a big, small town. I think that one of my favorite things about San Antonio is that we can all work together as artists and as people that have a vested interest in San Antonio becoming better, because I feel that when we all rise, when one of us rises, we all rise. But when one of us falls, we all fall. So because of that, I think that San Antonio has a unique way of coming across to people who are not from here. But once you become a member of the community, you understand that the community is here to help each other, and there's people who do that, and that's what makes us that much stronger. I get my inspiration from reading. I also listen to books while I'm working. So my influences are varied and expensive. I read Mesoamerican mythology. I read science fiction. I read quantum physics. I read botany and plants, and I read things that teach me how to do. So that inspires me. And then I just sit and imagine things. I ask myself questions. What if? That's what I ask myself. And then I just run with it. I think that if I were to figure out how I want my artwork to be accepted or understood, it would have to be that it is an exploration in what could be that addresses the situations at hand that are oppressive and that are unfair to peoples. And until that system of looking at things is completely eradicated, there's not going to be any end to conflict. So my purpose in my work is to figure out how to change points of views through stories, so that way we can understand each other better. I think that if I have to advise an artist, a young artist, about what to do, I would first tell them that you have to look at it in a long term. Being an artist is a lifetime thing, so you have to do things that will allow you to last a long life. That means that brings it right back to you. You have to take care of yourself. You have to do things that allow you to be healthy, so that you can imagine things and make things. You need to educate yourself, because you need to be able to articulate what you're thinking and why you're thinking it. You need to understand how to collaborate with people, because you're not an island and nobody can do anything by themselves unless they want to go really, really far and fast. But then who are you going to help? So that's the next thing that you should figure out. Why are you wanting to be an artist? Is it because you enjoy being a hobbyist, or do you have something bigger than you that you're working on? And that's the lifetime thing of being an artist, because you have responsibilities as an artist that are bigger than you. And so when you can accept those responsibilities and then make sure that you meet those responsibilities, then you can get to some sort of fulfillment and reach that highest level of Maslow's hierarchy, which is actualization. And that's where we all want to be. All right, so I think I'm going to be talking about some of my pieces here. And what I just want to say is that I've been working on collaboration since I was growing up, since I was little. I grew up in the flower shop. I had jobs to take care of in the team. We had to work in unison. We had to accomplish goals, and that allowed me to learn how to do that in the team. When I went to school, I was in the basketball team, so that was another kind of connection to collaboration. When I got out of high school, I continued working, and then I got together with some of the barrio guys, and I was in a grunge punk rock band in the Rio Grande Valley. So we're still doing that and collaborating, and we're musicians. After that, I came back and went back to school and enrolled in college to finish up my degree in education. That's where I learned how to work together in teams. So I've worked on the largest sculpture of the Virgin of Guadalupe in the Northern Continent, and that was a beautiful experience that allowed me to put to use my skills at collaborating and working together with a team to be able to accomplish large projects. After that, I continued working, and I went into education, which I'm an art teacher. So what you do as an art educator is you kind of marshal large groups of people to create art, and you teach them about it as well. So I do that during the daytime, and some of the collaborative pieces that we've worked on ever since then. I'm a large-scale printmaker, so that's a very specific skill set. I've done it with my partner for over 15 years now. We print with large equipment, industrial equipment used for street building. And so what we do is we create a spectacle that educates the community about printmaking and brings the community together to experiences. So when they leave the event, they leave with memories that they can have anywhere else. And this can bring a community together and remind them. We have repeat volunteers that come and participate with us. I also started this thing called Project Masa, Chicanos in Outer Space, which was a parody way of reacting to the oppressive, colonizing power structures that affect our gente, especially now. So that whole idea of science fiction and creating parodies and mocking satirically what is affecting our gente is still alive and well. And I know that that's what used to happen with, for example, Posada, when he did the Calaveras. So working from there, I've continued to work in large groups, and that is my reach. My idea and my purpose is to be able to reach out to the community in groups and collaborations to heal the community in events that bring the community together. So what I've done is done all this work, and I've accomplished all this while teaching art in high school. And a lot of times people have different ways to get to goals. I like to ask my students the question of how many ways are there to get to Chicago? And Chicago is a metaphor for success. And so I begin to talk to them about how they can fine-tune their method of getting to Chicago. We can get there fast, we can get there slow, or you can enjoy the ride. And so what I've done is I've figured out how to do that by teaching. That means that makes me able to sustain myself financially, because it's expensive to be an artist. And unless you've inherited a lot of money, then you have to figure it out. So my way of being sustainable was to go into education. And that at the same time, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I learned quite a bit. I have learned from my students as well, because education is a reciprocal career. You learn from your students, and as they learn from you. And so if I was to advise anyone on how I did where I've gotten to, I would tell them to take small steps, practice, even if it's 30 minutes out of the day to make art, because those little bits of time add up to a lot over a week and then over a month. And then document, take pictures of what you've done, make sure you're able to describe it, save it for later use, and then be able to tell your story. Talk about your story so that people can understand who you are and where you came from, and practice doing this with your friends. Your friends are your helpers. Your community is your group of gente that will follow you and help you and become part of who you are. And that way, all of you can grow together, and you'll find your tribe. Find your tribe, people who think like you, people who have the same vision and the same corazón as you, and you'll be okay.